Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing a lovely model that debuted in 1972. This is the Omega Speedmaster Professional Mark II 145.0034, whereas the original Mark II launched in 1969, this one very much in the spirit of the swinging 70s, was launched in 72, and it's an upscale alteration of the case as well as the dial of the Mark II while retaining the Moonwatch caliber 861 internally. Now, as you can see, the Mark II was designed in the 60s, but in form as well as fashion, it's very much a watch of the 70s. Large tonneau case measured from 9 to 3. You can see the watch is 41.75 millimeters wide. It is relatively thin, all things considered. I was surprised that it's only 14.3 millimeters thick, but the mineral crystal, and it is a mineral crystal, is flush with the case. Now, from lug to lug, the watch is wonderfully compact as it's only 45.2 millimeters, so you can wear this fairly large watch on a smaller wrist. Again, my wrist for reference for those who are new to the channel, my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as, I would say 14 centimeters in circumference, maybe even 13 and a half if your wrist is more oval than round. The lug spacing, though it appears to be somewhat proprietary, it's anything but. It is a lugless watch and the spacing between 20 millimeters. So you can see we took the opportunity to fit a high-grade aftermarket strap that was just too perfect in terms of its color coordination with the dial. You have a lovely dark red with some burgundy undertones, a monotone stitch, a little bit of bolstering, a sheer side so you can see the layers of leather construction, and then calfskin on the underside, gator on the top, calf on the bottom. The watch is stainless steel and gold plated, and that goes for the pin buckle as well. But here's what I want to emphasize. This watch is untouched. It's as untouched as a watch of its vintage can be. You can see that there is a sort of tarnish on the case, and that is manna from heaven for collectors of old gold and gold-plated watches, because that tarnish only forms when the watch is essentially left unused for years at a time. And as you can see, all of the original gold plating has survived intact, and not just that, but the case is unpolished. By definition, you cannot polish it without removing the outer coating. So all of the original period definition and volume and symmetry, present and correct, curves and creases both, and you could see the satin finish radiating out from the center dial, from an imaginary center point. That is laid down with a lapping machine, and that is a very difficult finish for the aftermarket to duplicate, so it's important that here it's in excellent condition. Combination of satin and polish for contrast, and by the way, the oxidation and the tarnish can be removed easily by a qualified watchmaker, so if you don't like the look of it, you can simply remove it once you buy the watch. It's not permanent. The dial is exceptional, and it's upscale compared to the standard Mark II, but first take a look outboard. There is a flange that is actually on the underside of the mineral crystal. Mineral was what we had between the era of plexiglass and the modern era of sapphire. It is considerably more scratch resistant than the old plexiglass. But you can see the flange is actually on the underside of the crystal, and it's printed on there. The dial is considerably upscale compared to a standard Mark II, because you can see it is a lovely gold, original tritium, and all original tritium, with applique indices, applique Omega logo, blackened hands at center, and then you'll note that the orientation of the numerals in the registers is radial rather than vertical as it would be on a conventional Mark II. So applique, logo, and indices, and radial numerals with a gold dial base set this apart from a standard Mark II. Underneath the case back, featuring the classic image of the seahorse, because the Speedmaster was born as part of the Seamaster family, you have the Moonwatch caliber 861. Born in 1968, it was still considered to be current spec back in 1972, and in fact, the descendant of the 861, the 1861, still flies with NASA to this day. Back then, the movement was 17 joules, but still manual wind, 48-hour power reserve, 21.6 beat rate, a cam and lateral clutch chronograph. This one is in fine fettle, and the reason that setup was chosen was because it is relentlessly shock resistant. It's said that the 861s and 1861s are more shock resistant than the later X33s, and the X33s are quartz watches. The movement manual wind with a wonderful winding detent that feels and sounds classically vintage, protected in a case that was, in its era, 60 meters water resistant, but I don't recommend testing that theory today. Vintage watches are best left high and dry. You could see, and you could purchase this lovely surviving Omega Speedmaster Mark II 145.0034 on the Watchbox.